Grand jury will hear testimony on Monday as part of an ongoing investigation into Tiffany Henyard's leadership in the South Suburbs.
FBI has launched an investigation into controversial Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Dane Placco has been following allegations of her misspending and joins us now with an update. Dane.
Yeah, we've been reporting for nearly 2 years on allegations of corruption surrounding Henyard in her capacity as Dalton Mayor and Thornton Township Supervisor.
FBI also demanding records from the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation. After we reported at least $10,000 in taxpayer.
Since the FBI has begun looking into Tiffany Henyard's alleged misconduct, the ongoing scandal involving the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, has garnered a lot of attention. Recent events have shocked the Dixon and Taunton trustees as well as local leadership. The evidence against Henyard is growing quickly, and the first significant indication of the investigation appeared when the FBI agents were observed questioning important Dalton residents, but officials have not provided specifics. It is thought that the investigation is related to long-standing claims that Henyard used her political position for personal gain. The situation has gotten worse, further damaging her reputation as the so-called super mayor and raising questions about possible wrongdoing.
In fact, interviewing witnesses as part of a possible investigation that may or may not result in charges. Did the FBI agents you talked to seem serious about?
Yes, very serious. Very serious.
The owner of a U-Haul trucking and rental company in South Suburban Dalton, Lawrence Gardner, says he went to the FBI months ago after the village declined to renew his business license. Intimidation when Dalton police raided and closed his company. Gardner feels he was the target of this vengeance because he refused to contribute to a civic function that Mayor Tiffany Henyard had organized.
Talked to a couple of agents and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my paperwork to show them what was happening in court and what was happening in Dalton. And they told me they was investigating and they would be.
6 people have confirmed to Fox 32 that they were interviewed by the FBI, including Dalton business owners, a former village employee, and at least one public official. Several Dalton business owners have disclosed that they were refused business licenses due to their refusal to support Mayor Tiffany Henyard's election campaign. This raises concerns about the unsettling connection between political activity and business operations. Lawrence Gardner is one of these people. Contributions: the current probe uses electronic surveillance to paint a disturbing picture of wrongdoing under Henyard's leadership. Henyard's alleged misuse of government funds, including hundreds of thousands of dollars in police overtime for her personal security and large out-of-town travel expenses, is being looked at by FBI agents. Her alleged use of public staff and finances for personal gain is also being investigated by agents. As delaying licenses for companies, such as a restaurant in Dalton, I've heard rumors that say, "Hey, I'm on the wrong track." Dwayne has been trying to renew his restaurant's business license for almost a year, but he hasn't contacted the FBI. He believes his approval is being blocked because he catered to a number of Dalton trustees who were embroiled in a political dispute with Mayor Henyard.
I think I've been just targeted because of my affiliation with a certain group of people. You know, I had the trustees. I cooked for the.
While FBI investigators are looking into Henyard's suspected misuse of taxpayer funds and resources, the owner of a Dalton towing company claims in a complaint that their business license was delayed because George's Towing refused to endorse or contribute to Mayor Henyard's political campaign. She will be questioned over her excessive out-of-town travel costs, the hundreds of thousands of dollars she spent on police overtime for her personal security detail. In addition to using public staff and tax resources for private benefit, agents are looking into her involvement in postponing licensing for particular companies, such as a restaurant in Dalton. Although he hasn't spoken to the FBI, restaurant owner Dwayne Wood has been trying to renew his business license for almost a year. He believes he has been singled out because he provides catering services for a number of Dalton trustees who are currently involved in a political battle with Henyard. It is my belief that I have been singled out due to my. The owner of the towing company, Chasen House, responded to the news of the FBI's investigation by saying, "We welcome any investigation that will bring transparency to how taxpayer dollars are being spent. Our residents deserve this level of financial transparency." He also mentioned his association with a specific group of people with the state, referring to his involvement with the trustees. He signed a refusal to endorse Henyard as a reason for his stalled licensed Dalton trustee status.
We reached out to the FBI, which said it is policy for the agency not to comment on the nature, existence, or non-existence of any investigation that may be occurring. A public relations firm responded on behalf of the mayor, saying neither Henyard or the village of Dalton have received any subpoenas or been contacted by the FBI or any other law enforcement.
The FBI's arrival marked a long-awaited chance for the residents of Dalton to address years of corruption and poor management under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration. Instead, the small town, which relies on its public servants to put the common good first, has seen a government enmeshed in accusations of financial misconduct, self-interest, and a lack of accountability, as well as the misappropriation of public funds and resources under Henyard leadership, and an alleged focus on has increased public dissatisfaction and damaged confidence in local government by focusing more on personal gain than public service. Public services are vital to the town's prosperity. Firefighters have been working without contracts, roads have collapsed, and fundamental community needs have been disregarded while the Hema administration engaged in extravagant events, unrestrained spending, and contentious appointments. These priorities have taken precedence over the primary duty of governing for Daltons. Locals, for the first time, there is a real chance that Dalton can break free from a cycle of alleged exploitation and inefficiency and move towards a future based on transparency, fiscal responsibility, and justice. Henderson's critics have long suspected widespread corruption, and the FBI's involvement has validated their concerns and renewed hope for justice. The federal investigation represents a crucial turning point for Dalton, offering an opportunity to dismantle what many believe to be a deeply entrenched network of deceit and favoritism. Presidents of public service who have seen their hard-earned tax dollars go to an administration with dubious priorities and opaque practices now view the federal investigation as an essential step in re-establishing not only their financial stability, but also the fundamental values of justice and integrity in local government. No change will occur until the FBI gets involved, which is considered a necessary step to restore Dalton's leadership to the people, putting their needs ahead of the ambitions of a select few Dalton residents. Overnight, they are prepared to demand that they receive significant reform. While the federal investigation is ongoing, it is also a call to action for the town to regain its ideals and ensure that future governance will genuinely benefit the people. The people of Dalton are steadfast in their desire for responsibility and a future where justice is served.
And Trustee Andrew Holmes, as well as several other companies and individuals. Plus, any records related to Henyard's charitable organizations. The subpoena also requests all travel records paid for by the municipality, including a trip taken to Las Vegas in May of last year. On that trip, both the mayor's former assistant and a Dalton police officer. They both filed a civil lawsuit accusing Holmes of assault and battery and Henyard of retaliation. Regarding the lawsuit, the mayor and Holmes both declined to comment. The first two grand jury subpoenas were served April 10th, asking for personnel and disciplinary files for nearly 30 people. The subpoenas also asked for documents related to Keith Freeman, the village administrator recently indicted on charges of bankruptcy fraud. His attorney told us he has no plans to step. Days ago, the law firm representing the village in at least 19 lawsuits in Cook County and federal court said it's planning to withdraw from the cases May 8th due to lack of payment. NBC5 has obtained a copy of the letter sent to the village by the Delgado law.
Since it was revealed that the FBI had asked Dalton for documents pertaining to Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration, public indignation has increased. This outcry is completely justified, as it marks a turning point in the lengthy controversy surrounding her leadership, as Henyard has long been under scrutiny, with her tenure being characterized by claims of corruption, poor management, and self-serving behavior. But the ongoing federal investigation has shed unprecedented light on her behavior, signaling a turning point. The FBI's involvement demonstrates that the suspicions expressed by locals and critics have been taken seriously, supporting long-standing claims of financial mismanagement and abuse of authority. Given the gravity of the accusations, the agency is systematically assembling evidence to create a compelling case against Henyard. This probe has become a crucial point in Dalton's struggle to hold its leadership responsible, presenting a stark highlight of years of suspected wrongdoing during Hand's administration, although certain Henyard figures. Despite efforts by supporters to minimize or disregard the investigation, the community as a whole sees it as a long overdue response to the grievances that have plagued our town. 10-year residents who have seen their town's reputation erode and essential services deteriorate now see this as a crucial step towards discovering the truth and bringing justice to those responsible. Growing pressure from the investigation and public demands emphasizes that this is not a singular episode, but rather the result of years of Henyard's growing dissatisfaction with the repercussions of her conduct. Might be catching up at last.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard is resisting calls to look into her spending. The village.
You can see our village, our community, we are under attack. It's a shame that people can come to meetings and just tell one-sided stories and not get the entire side of both.
As if the controversy surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's poor leadership of Dalton wasn't enough, the situation worsened when she was given the chance to permit an open and transparent investigation of her actions, a crucial step that could have addressed the mounting accusations of corruption and misconduct. Her recent decision to reject a proposal to look into her own behavior only served to increase public skepticism and outrage. Abuse of authority instead, she decided to veto the idea, which further cast doubt on her intentions and fueled speculation about what she might be trying to conceal. Many are now questioning why Henyard still opposes accountability. Some claim that her unwillingness to participate in such an investigation is a clear admission of guilt, indicating that she is more focused on defending her own interests than the interests of the neighborhood. Given the heightened attention from federal investigators and the irate public, the timing of this opposition is very concerning. Residents of Dalton are tired of an administration beset by financial mismanagement, dubious appointments, and claims of reprisals against opponents. Henyard's actions merely serve to emphasize the precise problems that her detractors have long pointed out, including a practice of secrecy and obfuscation, and a clear refusal to allow an independent investigation undercuts the principles of accountability and casts a long shadow over the integrity of her administration to the community, leaving them to grapple with the growing perception that Henyard has chosen a course that deepens the sense of betrayal felt by Dalton's residents rather than using the investigation as a chance to clear her name and rebuild public trust. Because they are obstructing the probe, their mayor is unable to act in an honest and transparent manner. The general perception that Henyard is hiding serious wrongdoing and putting her personal safety ahead of the needs of the people she was elected to represent has been heightened by her actions.
What we know, and that is that a handful of FBI agents showed up to this area earlier today. What is not clear is exactly.
A few FBI agents were spotted in the Dalton area earlier today, but it's unclear why exactly they were there. However, the FBI confirmed in a statement that they were carrying out court-authorized law enforcement activity in the area. According to Department of Justice policy, the FBI is not allowed to comment on the details of any ongoing investigation, but despite the agency's silence, it's generally believed that the investigation has something to do with Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who has been the focus of FBI inquiries for weeks. Many people in the community are relieved that the FBI is in Dalton because they feel their requests for assistance have finally been addressed. One local resident expressed relief, saying that after 3 years of the board members, citizens, and I feeling like no one was helping us and providing us with the information we needed to make wise financial decisions for our village, many feel they are one step closer to finding the truth now that the FBI is involved. Several trustees also expressed their satisfaction that their concerns have been taken into consideration. One trustee said, "This is really wonderful. I feel somewhat relieved because for the past 3 years, the board members, residents, and I have felt like no one was coming to our aid in terms of giving us the information we need to make decisions about the village's finances. Today, we feel like we might be one step closer to understanding what the FBI is looking into, not just in regard to Mayor Henyard, but also her former right-hand man. There are questions about. In addition to Henyard, there is a network of power that surrounds her administration. Federal prosecutors accuse Keith Freeman of lying in his bankruptcy petition, claiming that he knowingly underreported income from his job and a private source. This indictment is one major development in the ongoing scandal that has increased the scrutiny surrounding Dalton's leadership. Freeman is currently the village administrator and municipality manager of Thornton Township. A consulting firm, Freeman is still awaiting arraignment, and the village has refrained from commenting on the accusations. This legal matter comes after a civil lawsuit was filed against Mayor Henyard and prominent community activist Andrew Holmes. The lawsuit was filed by Henyard's former assistant and a former police officer who accused Holmes of assault and battery, with Henyard allegedly retaliating. The incident allegedly happened at a recent Thornton Township meeting following an economic development trip to Las Vegas last year. A citizen accused Henyard of corruption, which made her more defensive instead of confronting the charges. Attempting to have the person removed from the meeting simply served to increase tensions and outrage among those there. Henyard is currently facing numerous lawsuits and a federal inquiry, and her actions are coming under more and more scrutiny. She has been accused of stealing from everyone, and many locals are furious about it. One neighbor even said, "We're not going to let you steal from anybody. Continue pilfering our funds." Investigators are looking into everything from dubious contracts to favoritism. Residents are calling for transparency and accountability from their leadership as the investigations progress. In a recent meeting, Henyard tried to address the budget and defend her administration, but she and her allies are accused of spending over $100,000 on extravagant travel expenses, much of which was revealed by investigative reports from WGN. Now, you will hear the "you have to listen to learn the truth" as it relates to the budget for myself and my administration, she added, but her attempts to steer the conversation were resisted. At one point, Henyard ordered the removal of a resident who was accused of disrupting the meeting. According to the village's firefighters, who have long criticized Hen's leadership, she has been attempting to silence her detractors. Even further, one firefighter accused her of embezzling funds from the firefighter retirement fund. Accusations have raised serious questions about Hanen's leadership. One firefighter said, "There is good reason to be concerned about someone as arrogant as Tiffany. Her actions constitute an unforgivable breach of trust, especially when it affects the very people who risk their lives to keep the community safe." Many firefighters have been reluctant to speak out against her for fear of reprisals. Some have said they've been intimidated into silence, while others fear that their jobs could be at risk if they do. Keep disagreeing with the mayor's actions. Critics of Henyard's administration contend that her actions, which range from obstructing transparency to allegedly embezzling funds, paint a clear picture of a leader more interested in protecting her own interests than serving the people of Dalton. As the federal investigation moves forward, the community is nervously awaiting the revelation of the truth and the conviction of those responsible for the alleged misconduct will result in a growing public outcry, many lawsuits, and an FBI investigation. Both citizens and public servants in Dalton are demanding reform and transparency in order to address the issues that have bedevilled their town for years. For many, this is not only about holding one person responsible, but also about rebuilding confidence in local government and making sure that corruption and poor management do not spread throughout their community. An important turning point for Dalton is the investigation, which might either validate long-held suspicions or result in a much-needed reform of the town's leadership.
Sigh of relief. For the last 3 years, myself, the board members, and the residents have been feeling like no one was coming to save us in regards to providing us with the information that we need to make decisions regarding our finances with the village. So today I feel as if we're maybe one step closer to...
While the city is dealing with a federal investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's behavior, the firefighters in Dalton are still performing their duties and keeping the community safe. They have been actively seeking transparency, particularly with regard to Henyard's travel benefits and compensation. According to Julian Cruz of WGN, tensions are still high in the neighborhood after the Thornton Township Board of Trustees recently failed to fully pass their 2025 budget, which triggered The township's 17 South suburban villages are rife with unhappiness, and many of them are quite irritated with Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who is currently, despite the federal corruption investigation, Henyard was spotted celebrating with supporters at a public hearing. However, under the cloud of the investigation, we need transparency, and you've increased everything across the board as if you're trying to drain the money. One resident said during an emotional public hearing, reflecting the growing anger towards Henyard's actions. As if nothing was wrong, Miss organized the Friends of Tiffany Henyard picnic, but when the trustees refused to pay for it, citing her extravagant spending and its obvious connection to her campaign, Henyard claimed the money came from her own pocket. However, it is still unclear where the money came from, leading many locals to doubt her claims and motivations. Henyard Defiance's actions only served to increase suspicion that the event, which had food giveaways and a bound house skating, was meant as a public festive. Even though Henyard claimed to have paid for the event herself, her actions were widely perceived as a clear attempt to improve her public image amid growing accusations of corruption. Trustees refused to fund the event, citing concerns about its political nature. Henyard's lawyer, however, disputes claims that the gathering was a political gathering, arguing that it was simply a community picnic. Appeared to have the dual goal of enhancing Henyard's reputation, particularly in light of the FBI's ongoing investigation into her financial activities in both Dalton and Thornton Township. Critics argue that Henyard used public resources to further her political ambitions, particularly by using her campaign branding on food items distributed at the event, transforming what was supposed to be a charity function into a political rally. In a later Facebook video, Henyard defended her actions, saying that she was sent by. In reference to the food distribution event, Henyard frequently advertises the township's food pantry. "We got green beans, we got potatoes, you name it," she said, pleading with God to guide the populace and clear her name amid the growing corruption accusations. The Greater Chicago Food Depository, which is in charge of food distribution initiatives, also reminded her of the alarming $117,000 charge for a roller skating event that was hosted in Dalton, which was originally projected to cost $269,000, that a politician should not use food pantry resources for their own benefit, pointing out that the food at Henyard's event was provided by Township Surplus Henyard. She is unwavering in her assertion that those who want to control things they cannot control will always target those who care about the community, like her. "There are people like me who care about the community, and people will always try to stop things they can't control. That's what it's all about," she said, implying that her detractors were merely attempting to undermine her efforts. Described herself as a young, dynamic, and vivacious leader who would not be intimidated by the growing accusations against her. However, additional investigation into Henyard's finances has turned up more alarming details, including the fact that taxpayers paid more than $8,000 for hotel rooms for an event related to Henyard's. As a result of earlier accusations that Henyard had frequently used public funding for political purposes, the Illinois Attorney General had previously closed or furthered charitable, making matters more difficult. Despite this, Henyard maintains that she was selected by a higher power to lead and serve, saying that God wanted her to lead the people, and he knew that I would not back down. However, many people are not impressed by Henyard's claims of divine intervention, which seem to be a last-ditch effort to divert attention from the very real accusations she is facing. The federal investigation into her activities is still ongoing, and the evidence against her is growing. As the FBI's investigation moves forward, leaving the Dalton community and those following the case nationwide waiting for justice and answers, her lack of transparency and apparent indifference to the gravity of the situation have only increased public mistrust. The probe has not yet concluded, and the stakes are still rising. The residents of Dalton, along with numerous others, are calling on their leaders to be transparent and accountable in the hopes of finding a solution that tackles the for now. The community's patience is wearing thin, and the focus is still on the ongoing federal investigation and its impact on Henyard's leadership. Many are hoping that this investigation will ultimately lead to the truth being revealed and the restoration of accountability in local government. As more information becomes available and the pressure on Henyard increases, the people of Dalton remain united in their demand for justice. For more updates, please remember to leave a comment below. Click the bell icon to stay updated. We value your attention and your dedication to being up to date on the most recent changes in this On the Spot. Until we meet again, thanks for watching Visual Vortex.